All right. So we're going to continue with the example that we did in the previous class, right? Hold on, I'm going to put the mic in the direct line of sight so that sound is recorded appropriately. This is where we stopped in the previous class, right? So reminder, what we're doing really is we are trying to schedule the work on the parts and components, on all the materials that constitute one unit of this beautiful product, which is a kitchen cabinet, right? So what we did in the previous class is we took the forecasted figures of the demand that we are predicting, and I'm missing one right here, 25, right? So in the next 12 weeks, we have predicted the demand to be, for the kitchen cabinet specifically, 25 units in the first month, 4 weeks, then it's going to go up to 30 units a week, and it's going to go up to 35 units a week. And we also found that in order for us to support these sales like that, we have to start a production of a batch of 100 units, and that's our fixed order quantity for that item. We have to start 100 unit batches in the week 1, so in other words, right now, where we stand, right, in week 1, week 5, 8, and 11, right? So we created, this is called an MRP record. So one set of these rows, right, that specifies for you scheduled receipts, projected available, planned order receipts, and planned orders or planned order releases. Sometimes it's also called, that's an MRP record. So we created the MRP record for the first, for the top item, right, for the kitchen cabinet. And also we scheduled the tops, right? We said that in order for us to run these sales and production like that, okay, we have to order 144 tops in week 2, and we have to start working on 144 tops in week 5, okay? That's where we stopped. Oh yeah, and we also created the gross requirements for the bottoms, right? So I'm going to do it again. So where do I take gross requirements from? I take it from the parent item, okay? So the parent item for our bottom, cabinet bottom, it's not a CD, right? It's a kitchen cabinet bottom. Parent item is the kitchen. So we're starting 100 CD cabinets on weeks 1, 5, 8, and 11, according to our previously filled MRP record. Moreover, according to my bill of materials, right, 1 unit of the kitchen cabinet requires, right here, okay, 1 unit, quantity required, 1 unit of the bottoms. Now it makes sense, right? 1 cabinet, 1 bottom. So it's 1 for 1. All right, this means that I have to take these 100 units that I'm starting, multiply that by 1, each cabinet requires 1 bottom, and the results I'm going to post as the gross requirements for the bottoms, okay? So, in order for me to start working on 100 cabinets in week 1, I will need 100 finished, ready to go bottoms, right? Same thing applies for the week 5, okay? Same thing applies to the week 8 and also 11. That, I believe, we did in the previous class, right? Okay. We ready? Yay. All right. So we are starting week 1 with 120 finished bottoms, right? Sitting in the inventory in the warehouse. In week 1, I'm going to use 100 out of this 120, which will leave me at the end of week 1 with projected 20 units, right? So for week 2, no production of the cabinets is scheduled. So I still have 20, 20, 20. Week 5 comes along. I need 100 bottoms, but I don't have enough. I have only 20. So what's my solution? My solution is to plan to receive how many? Fixed ordering quantity. That's my standard batch size, how I produce the bottoms. 160 at a time, right? So in week number 5, I have to plan to receive 160 finished bottoms. The lead time is 3 weeks, right? On that specific particular item. Is that right? Because last time I messed this up. Bottoms, yes. They have 3 weeks delay, okay? So therefore, in order for me to receive that 160 in week 5, they have to be started in weeks 4, 3, 2, right? So I'm planning to order or to release the order, right, in the week number 2 so that they will be received in week number 5. And again, what I'm going to do is insert an arrow that links them together. This is just purely for illustration purposes, right? So these 160 that I receive in week 5, they are starting in week number 2. Okay? Make sense? Meow? All right. So 160 comes in week 5, ready. Then I have 20 finished sitting there before, so it's 180 in total. I'm going to use 100, which means that at the end of week 5, I'm going to have 80 units sitting in the inventory, right? Okay, so in week 6, no production is scheduled, so I'm going to have 80 still there. Week 7, same thing. Not enough for week number 8, correct? Which means that, again, I have to plan receipts of a standard batch of the size 160, right? So the production takes 3 weeks, which means that I have to go back 1, 2, 3. So the order should be started in week number 5, right? And again, I'm going to link this thing with an arrow just for illustration purposes, okay? So 160 units finished bottoms comes in week 8. I have 80 sitting in my inventory from before, total 240, right? 100 are going to be used for the production of the 100 of CD cabinets, so therefore I'm going to have 140 leftovers in week 8. Same for week 9 and week number 10, right? Okay, cool. Week 11 comes along. Do I have enough? I do, right? I have 140 and I need to use only 100, which means that I don't plan to receive any produced bottoms in week number 11. I just use 100 from the existing inventory, which leaves me with only 40 sitting in the warehouse, right? And this 40 also is right here, okay? And that's it. Any questions? Concerns, complaints, sarcastic comments? All right, cool. I'm gonna save this. All right. So we are done with an MRP record for the kitchen bottoms. Next item, right? And again, reminder, what we're doing right now is we're scheduling immediate children of the parent item kitchen cabinet, right? So according to my bill of materials, immediate children of the kitchen cabinet are the items on the next level of indentation, right? So I schedule tops and bottoms. Next, I'm going to skip the food for now because it's actually child of a bottom, right? It's going to be further down the road. So I'm working on the immediate children right now. So these two I've done already. So next thing we're going to do is door. Then after that, side, shelves, and shelf holders, okay? All right, so let's do the doors. Doors, okay. Question for you guys. Where do I get, first thing that I have to do is gross requirements, right? That's where it all starts. Where do I get gross requirements from? From the planned orders for the parent, for the cabinet, exactly right, okay? So my cabinets, I'm planning, that's the parent, right? I'm planning to start 100 cabinets in weeks 1, 5, 8, and 11. According to my bill of materials, each cabinet requires 2 doors, the left door and the right door. So I have to multiply the planned orders for the cabinets by 2, right? So let's go back to the thing. You know what? Instead of doing the long arrow, I'm just gonna put a short arrow right here just for, this is all done for illustration purpose, right? So that you guys can see the link, right? So over here, I'm going to say from cabinet times 2, okay, x2, bam, okay? And the same exact thing will happen over here, and over here. Why? Because these are the weeks when I scheduled to start working on the cabinets, right? So, and the arrows I'm also going to replicate. So over here, this one, and this one, okay? So I'm starting on 100 cabinets, that times 2, that gives me 200 doors are required on week 1, so right now pretty much, right? 200 in week 5, 8, and also 11. Okay? Make sense? Yay. I am starting my week 1 with 250 doors, which I already have pre-manufactured, just sitting on the shelf comfortably, okay? In week 1, I'm starting on 100 cabinets, which requires for me to take out of my inventory 200 doors, which leaves me how many in week 1? 50, right? Easy, breezy, beautiful Powerpuff Girls. So 50 sitting in week 1, 50 in week 2, week 3, and week 4. Okay, week 5 comes along. I do not have enough, right? I have only 50, but I only need 200. By the way, just a technical comment. True or false? Generally speaking, right door is not the same as the left door. Like if you think about just any piece of furniture with like doors, right? Right door is not the same as the left door, right? It's like think about your car. Can you use left door on the right side? No, they're like bent, right? Your car door. So therefore, left door is left door and right door is right door. Here, for simplicity, we're assuming that right door and the left door, you can just flip it kind of, right? And use it on the right and on the left side. It's the same, right? That's for simplicity. But in a more complicated example, right doors and left doors are not the same. So they have to have their own separate MRP records, right? Just a technical comment. Okay, so in week number 5, I do not have enough. So I'm planning to receive 220, that's my fixed ordering quantity, right? And just to verify that I have it right, yeah, 220 according to my bill of materials, right? Okay. Cool. So 220 doors coming in, and the delay lead time is 3 weeks, which means that to receive them in week number 5, I have to schedule them in weeks 4, 3, 2, and there you go, 220, and I'm going to just copy paste the arrow right here, just to show the connection, okay? All right. So 220 doors coming in, 50 doors are already there, that's 270, right? Minus 200 that I'm going to use, and that would be 70 doors sitting there waiting. Okay, in week 6, nothing is scheduled, so it's still 70. Week 7, here I don't have enough, which means that I'm planning to receive 220 doors order on week number 8. And since the delay is 3 weeks, right? It has to be started in week number 5, 220. All right, cool. And again, I'm going to just connect them with an arrow right here, okay? So 220 doors coming in week number 8, plus 70 doors that are already there, that's 290, minus 200, that's 90, and I have the same thing in week number 9 and in week number 10, okay? In week number 11, again, I don't have enough, which means planning to receive 220, they have to be started 3 weeks before that, okay? So that would be week number 8, 220. All right, and the arrow will indicate the link. Okay, so 220 doors coming in, plus 90 sitting there already. That's going to give me 310 minus 200. That will give me 110, right? 110. Okay. So therefore, in order for me to support my sales, as I projected them right here, okay, my gross requirements for the finished item, in terms of doors, I have to start the batch, standard batch of the size 220, next week, number 2, in week number 5, and also in week number 8. I'm assuming here that I'm making them myself, right? If I have all the parts and components, I'm going to start making them. If I'm buying doors from the outside suppliers, I'm just simply going to send them my purchase order, say, hey, deliver for me 220 doors on week number 2, right? No, sorry, deliver them on week number 5. I'm just going to place that order in week number 2, given there is a delay, right? So in terms of the SAP, I'm going to place purchase order to them at week number 2, and and basically specify in that purchase order that the delivery date. Remember when you did the SAP assignment, it was also the delivery date, which we by default it was like next day, and there was like a yellow sign that says, "Are you sure? Is it reasonable to expect the delivery next day?" It was like a warning sign, if you remember, right? So that's where you can go ahead and change the delivery date in the system. That's exactly what it is, okay? When I'm going to create a purchase order for 220 doors, if this is outside supplier, I'm going to specify the delivery 3 weeks from now, okay, in the SAP. So this is a link, okay? All right, so next item on my next immediate child, right, of the CD cabinet is the side. According to this information right here, lot size is 220 and the lead time is 2 weeks. Let's just verify that I did it correctly. Side, 2 weeks, lot size is 220. That's exactly right. Okay, cool. So tell me how much are my gross requirements and when? Where do I look? Yep, gross requirements are 200, right? I'm going to erase CD cabinet from here. Gross requirements are 200. Why 200? Because I have to look at the planned orders of the parent, which is CD cabinet, which are all 100. Multiply that by 2, because 2 is the quantity of the sides per one parent item, right? 2 sides. So 100 times 2. And the weeks when I need these sides are 1, 5, 8, and 11. So let's go ahead and do that, right? 1, 200, 5, 200, is it 8? 8, yeah, 200, and 11, 200. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing as what I did over here, okay? Except I need more space. Hold on, I'm going to insert a couple of rows here. And I'm going to say from the cabinet times 2. Bam, 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 and bam. Okay? And I'm going to put an arrow as well right here. Okay. All right. And this one right here. Okay? How are we doing? Yay? Meow? No meow? All right. This one is a little bit different, right, from the ones that we used before. So let's check out what exactly is happening on this record. I have projected available 0, so that means that pretty much I don't have any sides sitting in the warehouse, right? No inventory. But unlike the previous records that we were dealing with, we have 200 in the area scheduled receipts. So question is, what is that? Where is it coming from? Okay. So here's where it's coming from. Suppose this number is not there. Okay, don't erase it on your handout. Just kind of listen to this. Okay. Suppose it's not here, right? 200, whatever it was. I already forgot. What was it? 220. Okay, cool. So that means that I don't have anything coming into first week, but I do need 200, right? Which means that I need to receive standard quantity, which is, by the way, 220, right? Fixed ordering quantity. So I should plan to receive this very week, where I am currently, 220 units. But when should that be ordered? 2 weeks ago, right? I'm standing in week 1, so that should already be ordered, right? And that's exactly what scheduled receipts are. See, planned order receipts, like this one right here, right? I'm planning to receive that order in week 5. It's not placed yet. This order I'm planning for the future. And this order for 220 will be placed next week, number 2. It's all in the future. It's planning, okay? This thing right here, it has to happen right now, right? Right now I have the need for 200 units. So the difference between planned receipts and scheduled receipts is scheduled receipts is already done, okay? So you can think of that as, let's say, for example, sides I'm buying from my supplier, okay? This week I'm expecting the delivery of this order that was placed 2 weeks ago. It's done, okay? It was ordered 2 weeks ago. My supplier is sending the truck that will arrive this very week to my warehouse. That's the difference. Scheduled receipt means it's already in works, okay? It was ordered already, it just didn't arrive here quite yet, okay? Planned orders is something that I'm planning in the future to receive, and it's not even ordered yet, okay? Both events, order placement and order receipt, they're both in the future. Scheduled, order has been already placed, and delivery is expected, okay? So these 220 units that you're seeing in the handout, right? That's basically a done deal, all right? Order has been placed and the delivery is promised, and I'm totally expecting it, okay? All right, so 0 in the warehouse. This week I'm expecting a shipment of 220 units. Out of them, I will use 200 units. That will leave me at the end of this week with 20 sitting in the inventory. True? All right, cool. So let's go ahead. Week number 2, no production is scheduled, which means I still have 20 units sitting there. And week 3 and week 4, so these 20 units are still there. In week 5, I do not have enough, which means that now I'm planning to receive 220 units, right? So this is not scheduled yet. I'm planning to receive that, and I have enough time to plan for that because the lead time is only 2 weeks. So if I'm planning to receive that in week 5, when should I order that? Week 3, right? So 220, the order should be placed in week number 3. I'm going to insert a cool looking arrow to show a connection, right? So both events are in the future, right? When I place an order for 220 and when I receive the order. That's why they're both called planned. It's my plan. As opposed to schedule, which is done already. Delivery is expected, okay? All right, 220 comes in. 20 I have. 240 minus 200, that's my requirements to start 100 units of the kitchen cabinets, right? So therefore, I am expecting to have available 40 sides, okay? And 40 sides are still there in week 6 and in week 7. Week 8 comes along. 40 is not enough, which means that I'm planning to receive 220 units. Okay, 2 weeks is the delivery lead time, so that should be started in week number 6. Okay, and I'll show the connection with the arrow like this. All right, so 220 are arriving. 40 are expected to be there from previous weeks. So that's 260 minus 200 I'm planning to use. That would give me 60 units available at the end of week number 8. And that's still going to be there in week 9 and in week 10, right? And again, for week 11, I do not have enough, which means let's plan to receive 220 unit batch, and it should be started in week number 9. Okay? So I'm going to copy the arrow and paste the arrow right here to show the connection. Let's save it. Okay. So 220 units are coming in week 11. 60 units are physically there from previous weeks. That's 280 minus 200 that I'm planning to use. That is 80 units are projected available at the end of week number 11, right? And the same thing is happening in week number 12. 80 projected available in week number 12. Okay, so that is the end of the MRP record for our sites. Okay, and we have 2 more immediate children of the CD cabinet left, and that would be, so we're done with sites, shelves, right? Note that the lead time is 2 weeks and the lot size is LFL. What does LFL stand for? Lot for lot, right? Lot for lot basically means that I don't have standard quantity. I produce what is needed. I need 400, I produce 400. I need 150, I make 150. Okay, there is no fixed ordering quantity. Lot for lot. So 2 weeks LFL, and the shelf holder is 1 week, 2,500 units. Okay, so let's go. LFL 2 weeks. That's right. Okay, cool. Where do the gross requirements come from? Again, they come from the parent unit, which is the kitchen cabinet. I'm going to erase the CD. Okay, this is not about CD. This is about storing your kitchen things. Plates, ladles, forks, knives, and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, cool. So I have to look at the parent, which is CD cabinet right here. So I'm starting 100 units in weeks 1, 5, 8, and 11. But I have to multiply that by 4, right? Why 4? Because according to my bill of material, each kitchen cabinet has 4 shelves inside. Okay? It's a big cabinet. You can store a lot of plates in there. So unlike sides and doors, it's not times 2, it's times 4, right? So that's what I'm going to do over here. And I probably need to insert a couple of lines. So insert, now let's do one more, insert. So I'm gonna say from the cabinet times 4, right? This time it's times 4. So weeks 1, 5, 8, and 11. All right. So I'm going to put the arrow here, like this. Arrow, another arrow, and the last one, this one right here. Okay. So it means that my gross requirements are 400 in week 1, week 5, week number 8, and also week number 11. Okay. Bam. Now look at that. In the scheduled receipts, I already have 400 shelves coming in, right? Why is it here? What happened? It's the same exact thing as what I had with sides, right? If I wouldn't have that 400 over here, that means, and I start with 0 inventory, right? My initial inventory, so leftover shelves, I don't have any leftover shelves, okay? So that would mean that I would plan to receive 400 units over here, okay? and the lead time is 2 weeks. That means that it should be ordered 2 weeks ago, right? And I need them right now immediately. So it means that somebody 2 weeks ago, they actually anticipated this demand. They kind of, this schedule, this MRP schedule is done periodically on the rolling basis. Okay, so you move forward like 1 week at a time, you rerun the MRP. It will include a new week into the future, right? So the running of the MRP is done fairly frequently in order to see what kind of orders do you have to place in the future. So 2 weeks ago, when they ran the MRP, they saw that these 400 units, 400 shelves, we will need because we're planning to start these 100 cabinets. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, somebody already placed that order, 400 units. 400 shelves, right? And it is scheduled to arrive here. Okay, so this is, again, it's a done deal, right? So we placed that order already 2 weeks ago, and I'm completely, totally expect to receive the shipment this week. Okay, so 0 comes in from the previous week. 400 shipment I'm expecting, but 400 is my demand, so therefore I'm going to sit with nothing in inventory, right? And week number 2, same thing. Week number 3, 4. In week number 5, I need 400 shelves because I'm starting working on the 100 cabinets, right? During this week, right here, planned orders. Which means that I expect how many units? 400, right? Because it's lot for lot. Okay, if that would be 550 shelves, right? And I would write here 550 because that's my standard batch. But it's lot for lot, so therefore what I need is what I'm going to order and what I'm going to receive. So I'm receiving 400. 2 weeks is the lead time, which means that the order will be placed in week number 3, 400. And I'm going to connect that with an arrow just to show that these 400 are linked together, right? Okay. So 400 shelves will come in week number 5. Which means that nothing from the previous weeks, right? Nothing in the warehouse. And I'm going to immediately use them, right? Because I'm going to receive 400 units. And again, it's either me or supplier, right? In all this procedure, I don't really differentiate between things that I produce versus things that I order, okay? When I say planned orders can be purchase order that I send to my supplier, and they send me the stuff by the truck, or it can be my own internal order, okay? I'm ordering production in my own facility, so it's a production order, not the purchase order from the supplier, but production order. It has the same effect on the inventory. It's either items arrive by the truck from my supplier, or items are carried into my warehouse by the forklift from my own production facility. Okay, so from this standpoint, there is no difference between buying versus producing. It's the production order if I make it, or it's a purchase order if I buy it. Okay. Okay, so 400 units come in. I immediately use them, so that means that projected available is still 0, right? In week 6, again, I'm going to have 0. In week 7, I'm going to have 0. In week 8, the requirements are 400, therefore I'm expecting 400 to be delivered, planned receipts. 2 weeks is the lead time, so that means that this order should be initiated in week number 6, 400 units, okay? And I'm going to link that with an arrow like this. So 400 units received, 400 units immediately used, 0 sitting in the warehouse, right? Same thing in weeks 9 and week 10. Bam. Okay? So week 11 comes along, same exact thing, right? I'm receiving 400 units. This stuff I am ordering in week number 9, which means that there is an arrow connecting them, okay? 400 comes in, 400 are being immediately used. Inventory is 0, and in week 12 inventory is 0. So this is kind of like unusual item, right? All the items that we had, other items, right, which are not LFL, not lot for lot, we accumulate inventory, right? We receive standard batches, inventory accumulates. Every once in a while, we actually use the accumulated inventory, like it was right here, right? So we order batches of 144, inventory accumulates to the point where over here we don't actually have to place an order in week 11, right? We accumulated 100 units of tops in the warehouse, requirement is 100, so we don't actually need to receive any batches, right? We can just use existing inventory. But in the lot for lot, you can see that I don't really need to carry inventory. Production is done pretty much as needed, right? Okay, cool. And let's do the last immediate child of the CD cabinet and kitchen cabinet, right? It's not CD cabinet. Okay. That would be shelf support. We did discuss the reasons why it's 16, right? So let's go back to the, so here I have fixed ordering quantity 2,500 units and lead time is 1 week. 1 week, 2,500 units, and the quantity required 16. The reason is I have 4 shelves. Each shelf requires 4 supports, right? So 4 shelves times 4 supports, that's 16 per 1 CD cabinet, okay? So that means that on my gross requirements, and I'm gonna insert a few lines over here, insert, and let's do one more, insert, okay? So from cabinet, on weeks 1, 5, 8, and 11, okay, I need, instead of multiplying by 4, I have to multiply it by 16, right? So times 16, 16, 16, and 16, bam, okay? So, and I'm going to put the arrows as well over here, okay? Arrow over here, and over here, okay? All right, so my planned orders for the parent unit, kitchen cabinet, are 100, right? Times 16, that means that I will need 1,600 shelf holders in week number 1, in week number 5, in week 8, and also week 11, okay? All right, so I start week 1 with with 2,150 shelf supports sitting on my shelf, right? In the big box, 2,150 units. So I'm going to use 1,600 of them, right? In order to make 100 CD cabinets. And how much is my leftovers? Oh, how much is 2,150 minus 1,600? 550, right? So at the end of this week 1, I'm going to have 550 shelf supports sitting on the shelf, right? Same thing happens in week 2, 550, in week 3, oops, and in week number 4, 550. Not enough for week number 5, agree? Cool. So it means that I have to buy standard lot size 2,500, and we discussed that, right? Why 2,500? Because these things are really teeny tiny, small, right? So if I order something like what's missing, right? So here I have 550 and I need 1,600. I will order my supplier the difference 1,050. The supplier will say, what the hell is that? 1,050. I'm selling them by the box. I'm not going to have my employees sitting down and counting 1,050 teeny tiny metal pegs for you, right? You want them, you buy a box. Okay, that's it. That's how I do business. So you buy a box. So my fixed order quantity is box size 250, 2,500 units, right? Bam. So it means that in week 5, I need to plan to receive 1 box from my supplier. Likely, I'm not making these things myself, I'm buying them from the supplier. So this box has to be ordered in week number 4, right? 2,500 units, 1 box, ordered in the week prior. So I'm going to connect these 2 things with the arrow, okay? So 2,500 units come in. I will use 1,600 out of that. That will leave me with 900 plus 550 from before. So that means that I will have 1,450 sitting in the warehouse, right? Waiting until the next time I decide to put together cabinet. So 1,450 in week 6, 1,450 in week 7. I'm slightly short for week 8, right? Which means I need another box of the shelf supports, 2,500 units in week 8. The order should be sent to my supplier in week 7, 2,500, okay? So I'm going to copy paste the arrow right here, okay? So the box comes in, 2,500, I use 1,600, that leaves me with 900, right? Plus, from before, I had 1,450, which means that I will have, how much is 1,450 plus 900? 1,000 minus 100, right? So 2,450 minus 100, 2,350, right? That's what I'm going to have left over at the end of week 8. Week 9, 2,350. Week 10, 2,350. Do I have enough for week 11? Yeah, I do, right? So out of 2,350 shelf holders, I'm going to use 1,600, and that will leave me with 750, right? Yep, 750 units, and no need to order and receive another box because I had enough. So this 750 will be still sitting in the week number 12, okay? Any questions? Concerns, complaints, sarcastic comments? All right, so I'm gonna save this thing, right? And we are done with scheduling just these items, right? So we scheduled the top one. I'm gonna highlight them with green, okay? Light green. So the top level 1 item, right? The finished unit. We also scheduled production / purchase orders for immediate children, right? So that would be top and bottom. We did the doors, we did the sides, and we did shelves and shelf support, okay? Guess what we're going to be doing in the next class? I'm going to drop down a level, right? So we scheduled level 1 and level 2 items, right? We're going to drop down a level and schedule level 3 items. So children of the children. And at the end, we're going to have a complete schedule when you should order what and how many units, okay? So we are done for today. I'm going to stop this recording right here, and to be continued next class.